Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
At the heart of the elections, their numbers, their polls, their swings, their majorities are the people we choose to represent us. Some of the moments of the night were the faces of those who lost or who clung on by the barest of victories. Our filmmaker Nick Blakemore spent much of the campaign in the marginal seat of Barron-Furness in Cumbria, where the incumbent Labour MP John Woodcock believed he was going to lose his seat. Spoiler alert, if you follow the results, you might know the ending to this one. But Nick was with the MP as he watched the night unfold.
My sense is that the margin, the margin is probably just too tight for me to hold on. I'll be so sad, but time and time again there is this the concern that comes up on the doorsteps is around Jeremy generally, and in this constituency. On top of that, the future of the shipyard specifically.
John, what's the message this morning?
The message for this morning is basically shipyard is safe, but the community won't be safe from a landslide Tory government. I mean, it's been such a strange campaign because, I think myself, like so many others, have desperately wanted to make this about local issues. You know, you've had this weird implosion of the Tory national campaign, which I very much hope otherwise, but I fear may be giving some people false hope.
It's 10 o'clock. The general election has been decided. The result of the joint BBC, ITV and Sky exit poll, it projects that the Conservatives will be the largest party in the new Parliament, but on these figures, they will lose their overall majority.
It's going to be really tight.
I think the margins are down in some bits, but they're up in others. Like some of the places where the Tories usually rack up stonking margins, they haven't done.
And I do hereby declare that Marcia Chantal de Cordova, Jane Ellison, Financial Secretary to the Treasury, Public Health Minister, is defeated.
No one understands. They tell you they understand what's happened. They are lying. No one expected this.
I am hearing absolutely nothing other than it's close. So, going to go in and see how the troops are getting on.
Woodcock is looking at possibly just scraping home is quite a turnaround when Labour frankly were expecting to be defeated here to the tune of thousands of votes.
I, the undersigned, being the acting returning officer for the above constituency, hereby give notice that the total number of votes given for each candidate at the election was as follows: John Zach Woodcock, Labour and Cooperative Party, 22,592, and that the undermentioned person has been duly elected to serve as a Member of Parliament for the Barrow and Furness County constituency, John Zach Woodcock.
I'm so deeply proud to stand in front of you here and to be able to keep on fighting for our community in Westminster well, let's hope it's years ahead after tonight. Thank you so much, everybody.
Just one personal story there, John Woodcock seat of Barron-Furness. Well, let's try and make some sense of what's happened and where we're headed now. I'm joined by Matthew Parris, the former Tory MP and now a columnist for The Times, David Hare, playwright, screenwriter and director. Rennie Eddo-Lodge is a journalist and writer, and Peter Oborne's the associate editor of The Spectator. It's lovely to have you all here. And Rennie, I'm going to start with you, because I think one thing that struck us was that younger people saw and heard a completely different campaign to other older generations. Newsfeed different, the kind of things you picked up on were not the things that the rest of us were seeing.
Well, absolutely, and I think actually the Parliamentary Labour Party and a lot of the tabloid press absolutely played a huge part in this, in sort of making Jeremy Corbyn the underdog and somebody to root for, not to mention that sort of younger people aren't really paying attention to the tabloid press in that way, so we're much less easily swayed.
You mean the vilification of Corbyn in the Daily Mail and the Sun, and that played to the strengths of the supporters?
I mean, all you need to say is the establishment hates him. And just anecdotally, I know that when I was out and about in East London, and this might be a little bit of an echo chamber anecdote to tell you, but I was with a friend who was wearing a Corbyn T-shirt. It looked a bit like the Run DMC logo. And we couldn't walk 10 yards down the street without a young person, lots of young black and brown men coming up to him and shaking his hand and being like, yeah, we're definitely going to vote for Corbyn.
Peter, he didn't win it, but it's the Sun what done it.
What did the Sun do?
Well, probably helped to make him such a popular figure when a man like Jeremy Corbyn is demonised by the Mail, by the Sun, by the tabloid
by the way,
press.
you define me as, from The Spectator, I'm a political columnist of the Mail.
Of the Mail.
Yeah, but I mean, I think what you don't mention there is the fact that Corbyn was bitterly hated and detested by the Labour Party, by the PLP, by Blair, by Mandelson. Blair and Mandelson, in Blair's 5 million house in Connaught Square, I'm told there wasn't a single Labour poster. Blair wasn't out there for the party. In fact, he was urging people not to vote Labour in some cases.
Were they wrong, or did they know something about governance that Corbyn has yet to find out?
I mean, Mandelson, likewise, in Regent's Park, that enormous multi-million house. No Labour, I'm told, nothing Labour
Matthew.
there.
But there's another way in which the press and the popular wisdom did Jeremy Corbyn a great favour, and that is that millions of people voted Labour on Thursday because they didn't think there was the remotest chance that Jeremy Corbyn would ever actually be Prime Minister. And he will find that as people begin to take him more seriously, a certain amount of resistance begins to arise because they're starting to think, do we want him as Prime Minister? That isn't what people voted on Thursday.
David Hare.
Well, if you're my age, then you remember two particular elections, and obviously the one that is the closest to this one are what you call vanity elections, where a leader is insecure and for reasons because they want their ego cosseted, they call an election, which Heath obviously did in 1974, and when he did it, he got a resounding no, and Theresa May has done exactly the same thing and got a resounding no. The other one, which is less pleasant to remember, is Neil Kinnock, who fought a far superior campaign to Margaret Thatcher, made huge advances against Margaret Thatcher, was hugely praised, but then in 1992, when he fought John Major, couldn't actually go that last bit. And so where the parallel is will be interesting.
But do you think the whole style of political campaign has now changed? John McDonnell was the one who said, we've reinvented word of mouth. I mean, was that what was appealing, that you could compare the robotics of one campaign with somebody who actually seemed to be enjoying himself?
Well, the Labour Party gave people something to vote for. The Tory party kept on this negative campaigning, really zeroing in their campaign in the final days of the election on like solo people rather than policies, and that was distasteful to watch.
Was that a Linton Crosby error? I mean, this whole idea of no barnacles on the boat, keep saying strong, stable, strong, stable. Did he sink her?
Look, I think this is a process question. What was really interesting about this campaign, and Corbyn really rose to the occasion. He had a completely brilliant campaign. It was a return to two-party politics. two parties, completely different ideas. We had a proper socialist party on the left. We had a proper conservative party on the right. We had a massive return of turnout, and this was because of Brexit. Because now in politics now, we have politicians who actually are accountable for the decisions they make. The decisions aren't all made in Brussels and by international corporations anymore. They're made here in Britain. Politicians are legitimate, and Corbyn has benefited from that, and so the Conservatives.
One of the points that you made, Matthew, was that it was the 48% who were starting to look like the left behind or the ignored. Do you think this resets the gauge now on Brexit? Do you think Remainers have taken inspiration?
Oh, there's a great feeling among Remainers. You should have seen George Osborne. You probably did see George Osborne on that night in question, and he speaks for millions of people. A feeling that it's not going to happen in the way that we thought it absolutely must happen, which would be a hard Brexit or no deal at all. We don't see how a British government now could get away with no deal or a hard Brexit.
No, one of the misinterpretations, I saw that BBC love-in between Evan Davies and Nick Watts earlier when they were congratulating each other on the fact that we weren't going to have Brexit anymore. It's absolute nonsense.
I didn't hear that at all. I heard Nick Watt informing Evan of stuff he'd heard from ministers
They were
and
agreeing
MPs
with
today.
each other in a BBC way that Brexit was in trouble. Let's not forget that the election's been won by the Conservative Party of Theresa May on a Brexit manifesto. The second party in this is Labour on a Brexit manifesto. Brexit is the winner of this election.
Well, Peter, if Mrs May had swept to victory...
Labour's led Brexit too.
If Mrs May had swept to victory, you Brexit people would have wanted to own that victory. Now, she has tumbled to failure. Are you going to own the failure?
No. Let's not say that she's... She has got a government. She's got a majority in coalition with...
It was a disaster, the election.
And the opposition is for the reason that Rennie's talking about, I think, was very important. There was a wonderful moment when Lord Lambton, who was a minor Conservative minister, was involved in a scandal with prostitutes in the 70s, and he had to resign. And a wonderful backbench Tory MP said, still there's one consolation, it couldn't happen to a nastier man. And I think that about what's happened to Theresa May. It could not happen to a nastier woman. And I think her behaviour, you know, there are things she said during this campaign, particularly the thing that she said about going naked into the conference chamber, where I just thought, I don't want a Prime Minister who speaks like that. I really don't. And I don't care what party she's in. And Corbyn's natural inclination, I don't think it's even a decision, I think his natural inclination not to join her in the gutter got him a lot of votes. A lot of people liked him for the fact that he didn't fight dirty, and she fought personal, abusive, dirty, nasty, low and mean.
And do you think that is what Theresa May is like, or do you think that's what she...
This is what she's projecting. I mean, she has to go. I was fully expecting her to resign this morning, actually, and I think that she's not going to last the next 5 years. I mean, it's ridiculous that we've just seen a general election, yet she's come out and told the public that she's going to continue to be Prime Minister and we're going to continue to have the same top ministers. Where's the change in that? No wonder people are disenfranchised with politics.
It is an extraordinary position to see a woman who appears to have written a speech several hours, if not weeks ahead, to still be performing on the steps of Downing Street.
Well, she has a very awkward manner. That's not the same as being a nasty person, and I don't think she's a nasty person at all, but she is going to struggle, particularly because she doesn't have an easy and natural style, and she has lost the confidence of the Parliamentary Conservative Party, and I just don't see her carrying on for the full 5 years. If she says that she'll go later this year, I think that will give her a little time.
Do you think she's got the summer and the autumn, or you think this all happens in a flood in September?
I think if she makes it clear that she's here in an interim capacity, they'll give her time and a fair wind. But if she makes it clear that she just wants to carry on indefinitely, I don't think the party will wear it.
It's very interesting. David,
today's performance was absolutely dismal. I mean, the three things she did, which were she made a terrible speech in which she appeared not... She said... She didn't even say, I've learned something. She sort of said, I'm going to have to learn something. She then reappointed the 5 people who... You know, one of the reasons she did so badly in the election was not because of her campaign. It was because of her government, we've had a year of very bad government.
So
She
is
hasn't
it
done
about
anything. She hasn't
niceness
done
then? I
anything
mean,
in the
when you
last
say
year.
it's about niceness versus nastiness, doesn't that sort of erode, if you like, the clear blue-red water in their policies?
I think it's about consistency and admitting when you've been wrong. I think that's what it's about, and she refuses to do that.
Peter?
I think that she is the Prime Minister. She has got a constitutional mandate to carry on as Prime Minister. I don't
Is there any love for her in the Conservative Party right now?
I think Matthew's right that there's a lot of unhappiness, and there's no denying that. But on the other hand, I don't see any leadership challenge coming, and I don't think there's a will for it.
Okay.
And I think she's a legitimate leader of this country.
Rennie, when has Jeremy Corbyn ever admitted that he's been wrong about anything?
Well, I mean, I don't think that's what we're really talking about here.
We'll come back for that one. That is it from us tonight.